So what inspired me to make this video is these captures of the cathode ray tube. That is the sun simulator in the sky. And this person captured these images of these lens flares that are what Donnie Daytona refers to as a cathode ray tube. And we'll come back to those. I've taken some screenshots. As you can see, they've taken some screenshots. And they've got a pretty long video here where they show you in real time that they're just filming through their front door. That hole in the front door that they're filming through allows them, like a pinhole camera, to capture these lens flares that show you that the light source in the sky, that's what those lens flares are revealing to you, is the shape and the color of the light source in the sky. That is the cathode ray tubes that Donnie Daytona is going to explain here in just a moment. I've captured some screenshots. That way we won't have to do this in vertical video. We can go zoom in on the screenshots. But those lens flares that you're seeing right there is the sun simulator. And I know this is a bridge too far. That's why almost no truthers ever cover the subject. Even though it's acknowledged and admitted as a reality, it breaks down your self-image and worldview too far. Those red, they call it the rose petal effect. Those little red dots all around the edge, that's called the rose petal effect, and that's what happens when you point your camera at a LED. That is a giant LED lamp in the sky. You're under a grow lamp. That means you're in something like an incubator if that thing we call the sun is a mechanical device. Those lens flares right there are showing you that that's exactly what that is. So we're going to recap some vintage material from Donnie of Daytona before they flipped him into some sort of Grandmaster B Steve Urkel impression. Some vintage Richie from Boston and some vintage A Plain Truth, Jamie Lee, who's no longer alive, regarding this subject of the sun simulator, and then we'll come back to these lens flares that are showing you the makeup of the sun simulator. I'm sure some of you have seen this black circle in the middle of the sun, and you've heard excuses made as to why that's just an overload of the light sensors in the camera creating that black circle. But down here, where you can see that black circle, just the fact that it is elongated in an oval shape proves that's not an overloading of the light sensors in the camera, or it would create a circular shape on the water the same way it does when you point it at the sun. The fact that the ripples on the water are causing that black center to break up and elongate and dance around and break into 3 or 4 or 5 separate pieces the way that it is, that proves that that's actually something that's in the sky. That's not just, oh, it's a digital artifact of the camera because you're overloading the light sensors and thus it blue screens and glitches out in the center. The fact that it's rippling across the water like that proves that's in the sky, not just something happening in the camera. Read it and weep. You're under a grow lamp. And that's what this proves. And I know it's so hard to comprehend and it messes up your worldview so much that even the truthers rarely touch this subject anymore. And they came right out and they showed you, yeah, sun simulators are real. Here, let me give you a demonstration of what was once the world's largest artificial sun, produced by the company in Germany called Synlight. S-Y-N, as in synthetic light. But they've since been outdone by China, who's built an even bigger sun simulator. First, let's check this one out. We can talk later about some of the reasons why these sun simulators exist. First, you just got to wrap your mind around the fact that they do exist. They're acknowledged, they're admitted to, they even give you demonstrations of them. And you got to get over the idea that it's to build a better solar panel. Militaries practice in real-world environments. They do their training in an environment the closest to the real thing as possible. So it makes no sense that they're going to do their training to build solar panels in an artificial environment with an artificial sun in order to build a better solar panel to soak up the rays of the real sun. They give you an unbelievable answer to that question, why are you building solar simulators? In order to make you think. If they would have told you it's for underground military bases so we can provide something like sunlight for the people that man those underground places like the bunkers in Cheyenne Mountain, you would have just said, oh, okay, that sounds reasonable. The idea that they've built these in order to build a better solar panel, that's not reasonable. We'll talk more about the reasons why they might have built these. Maybe there's a Dyson sphere around your sun. Those kind of solar panels that are up close to the sun, those you might need to build in the presence of a 2 billion degree lamp. Anyway, we'll talk more about the reasons why later. Maybe there's celestial bodies eclipsing our real sun. Maybe our real sun is on an elliptical orbit, and it is no longer in the same place that it was. We'll talk more about that in a minute. First, look at this commercial. They're not selling you on their ability to deliver electronics. They are delivering tomorrow through the messaging in this commercial.
All right. Okay. Let's go.
It's over there. I think it's over there.
Yeah.
Ready and go! Whoop. There we go. Good lad. All right. Whoop.
With next day delivery on thousands of electricals, you can be sure of a better tomorrow.
That was AO, as in Alpha and Omega, delivering tomorrow. This video is titled The Oregon Eclipse 2017 Explained in 23 Seconds.
Alrighty.
This is a piece from a video Mr. MBB333 did a few days ago titled, What is Happening? People Reporting the Sun Pulsating. And so that was his thumbnail photo for that video. Mind you, what we're watching now is a rehash of a video that I made over 2 years ago.
Here in the next 24 hours. I want to go back to the sun now, and I want to share with you guys videos that have been shared with me. I've seen this before, this phenomena, over the years, but I've never had 3 videos shared with me in such a short period of time. This first video footage was sent in by Connie from South Florida, and she said she happened to notice as she was out working on her camper here, she happened to notice what seemed like the sun flicker, and you can see the sun's up in the sky and there's no clouds. So she began recording the sun. This was from October the 5th in the morning of 2022. And you can clearly see it looks like the sun is doing some sort of pulsating in the sky. So I received Connie's video from South Florida, and then I received another video from Southwest Florida, Sanibel Island. Goes back to September 13th of 2022. And you can clearly see on this day there were no clouds in the sky, just like Connie's video, and the sun appears to be pulsating. Could be some sort of a processing anomaly, I don't know. But Connie, in the first video that I shared with you guys, She claimed that she noticed the light, the daylight, flickering. That's what compelled her to record the sun. This next video was sent in by Brendan out of Connecticut, and this video was from October the 7th of 2022, less than 48 hours ago. This was detected by his Nest camera on the front of his house. And as you're going to see in this video, as the sun entered the field of view of his Nest camera, you can clearly see that the sun looks like it's pulsating. I don't know if that's because the trees are maybe interfering with the light and the camera is attempting to focus on the extreme bright light and just simply cannot. Not quite sure what's going on there, but I've received video footage like that in the past, but I've never received 3 in less than a month. So if you guys have noticed anything like that, please leave a comment down below in the comment section, because Connie down here in South Florida, she claims that she noticed the light flickering, and once again, that's what compelled her to take that video that she did. Great job, guys. Keep.
So anyone who's just stumbling across this video, I'm making it for a crescendo of reasons, but because earlier today I took a video where the sun appeared to be flashing, and one that I've uploaded yet but haven't made public, but I will right after this video, is where I zoom in to over here across the lake, not even above the water where the water is reflecting into the camera, but just over into the mountain region, and it's still flickering back and forth. So normally people say, well, that's an overload of the light sensors because you're looking at the sun. I took 4 or 5 small videos along with the main one that I uploaded earlier today, and those will be uploaded immediately after this one. One other thing that I want to say is that Mr. MB3 says that he's gotten these videos before, and I've seen him show them where the sun appears to be flickering, and he's attributed to a camera malfunction or the camera trying to adjust and focus. But one thing that he no longer does attribute to the camera adjusting and focusing in some sort of a camera anomaly is what many of you have probably seen, sheet lightning, where lightning will go through the sky and it'll leave a line just as solid as this, where it's lit up on this side and unlit on this side. And in one of MB3's videos, one of his more recent ones, he showed this phenomenon and talks about how there is no way that this could be a camera artifact because the light is lighting up the ground on this side and leaving the ground dark on this side of that line that goes through the sky. So because you can see the light on the ground, lighting up the ground unevenly, it means that that's no longer, in his opinion, a camera anomaly. So the crescendo of reasons that I'm making this video now is because earlier today I looked and someone left in the comments section a link to that commercial by AO Delivery, which I had referenced previously but didn't have access to a video link, and they sent me that link today. A Plain Truth made this video today, and I filmed what is clearly the sun simulator. Aside from the flickering part, I clearly filmed the sun simulator today. Those 3 things all came at me today.
Hey Truth Warriors, and welcome to another video from aplaintruth.info. Today we are seeing Hawaii, Honolulu Bay, the North Shore, just getting pummeled with record rains coming out of nowhere, mostly hitting only the North Shore and massively flooding those people where a declared emergency, state of emergency has been declared for the area, but it was fairly isolated and not as bad on the other islands. Again, the geoengineering at work. And I'm being sent pictures from some wonderful activists from around the country. And these were sent to me just recently.
Maybe I should have cut this part out. I didn't remember. I don't think it's very long though.
There's anomalies going in the skies everywhere. It's going on all over. But I want to get into the sun simulators again. Patty Dale has done some incredible work on forensics on sun simulators. We'll get into it in a little bit. And seeing that these artificial suns are real. We have the patents. We have documentation going on everywhere. Look at this picture, folks. That's the sun simulator you're seeing. And she has broken it down using photo forensics to show it is actually a device and an actual machine up there. First, I want to give you a little background on the sun simulators and what we're seeing in the skies being reported all over the world. but there's these devices being put up, and they probably are likely cube satellites, which I'll get into at the end. But thanks again for Patty and the others for the activists and sending this to us. All right, let's get into it.
Photograph, a hexagon appeared in the upper left-hand corner. He didn't notice this hexagon until many weeks after the fact. There was no direct sunlight involved in the photograph that could create maybe a lens ray or a glare. It was just a simple photograph, and this hexagon appeared in the sky. He sent it to me to look at.
This is Mr. MBB333 that you're hearing, and he has covered the sun simulator, but he doesn't do it often. Just like he's covered the chemtrails, he's shown you exactly what they are, the nanoparticles to repel the radiation, but he doesn't hammer on and on about it.
I kind of compared it to the sun simulator because it does have similarities, but we don't know for sure what we're dealing with here. It almost looks like there's two. If you look at it real close, you can see an outline of one here to the left, and then one down here just off center a few degrees to the right. Whether it is two or not, I have no idea. But either way, it's kind of neat. Don't know what it is, but it does have an uncanny resemblance to the sun simulator. And
Are you seeing that cube? You see that? Right in the middle of the sun. And of course, that's some sort of camera malfunction or whatever to the effect. The problem is, he was only able to capture this on certain days in June and July, and then again last week, it came back. Other than that, he couldn't capture it at all. But look at this. Not only did he catch it again, but he caught it reflecting in the water as well. I've never seen this before, and I'm going to say you probably haven't either. In the water, but he also catches it in the sky simultaneously.
It's because they work for, alphabet agencies, trying to make you look bad, trying to discredit you, so no one listens and no one gets on your bandwagon. Look at this. Look at the shape of this. That is so unnatural. Watch as we get a little further into the video. Watch the shape of this thing. This thing, it changes shape while I'm videotaping it. Meaning they're adjusting it. It just rose. It's only been in the air for about 20 minutes. So every time it makes landfall over the oceans, they don't care over the oceans. There's not many people seeing it. But as it makes landfall, they have to do adjustments. Look at this shit. Where the sun simulator is, and it just all looks fake. That looks like CGI, man. And this is live video. I shot this morning. Isn't this crazy looking? Look at this. Look at this. If that is not a simulated light source, I don't know what is. Look at the center of it now. It's still blue, but it looks, because of the angle I'm at a really high altitude. You're seeing like a spinning. So that tells me that there is no light in the center of this device, and that the center is some type of nucleus, maybe the power source. You know what I'm saying? If you ever looked at the...
I'm going to take you through a step-by-step process on this one. We've all seen, most of us have seen this little black dot in the sun before. Okay. I'm going to pause it right there. As you can see, it's got two. It's got two black dots. So what I did was I took a snapshot of this and I did some photo analysis with it. Alright, well here's the snapshot that I enlarged using but let's take a look at what these things look like when they're ran through the photo forensics. Okay, as you can see, there's the two dots, and I'm doing my photo forensics here. Now, what I want you to see, actually when I saw it, it kind of blew my mind a little bit, because I most definitely saw something. Okay, now,
So it gets to a part where you can't really see what she's trying to show you, but she eventually gets around to this part where she reveals through the photoforensics program what appears to be mechanics within that black dot. That's the black dot that she zoomed in on.
To explain this one to me? When all it did was started out from, you will know I captured this image. Now, I'm going to enlarge it, and you're going to see what I see. We're going to take a look at this, okay? I'm going to enlarge it so much, it's not going to fit the entire screen, so I'll move it around. Okay, now, look at all this.
Solar simulators. Here's one here at Google Patents. It goes back to 1960. The idea has been around for a long time, quite possibly even farther back than 1960. There's a diagram of a solar simulator patented back in April of 1966.
And we're going to go over to here and we're going to look at this patent and bring it up to size. And if you'll notice, you'll see in here, here's these stanchions or supporting bars, which possibly could be what we're seeing actually in the video that was done by Patty Daly and her forensics investigation. See the pipes going across here? Let's take a look at that again and see how that matches up.
Okay, this is the black dot in front of the sun. What do you think that is? I think that's a device. Look at this. You can see the 3D, right? I can't zoom it in anymore. But let's take a look at this. Again, I will post my last video in the description box below, because you're going to need to watch that first. But here you can clearly see, these are like pipes and, you know, whatever. But this is definitely a square object in front of the sun. Now, I don't know what all this stuff is, but I'm looking at all that. Okay, that's just the edge of the picture. That's nothing down here. Okay, so let's take a look over here. I mean, it looks like plumbing pipes. Alright, look at this. I mean, you can actually see shadows. You can see the 3D effect on this. And here's the center of it. This is the center of that black object, that black dot we all see every once in a while in front of the sun.
So just putting in Cube Satellite Patent Sun Simulator, look at all the patents on Sun simulators and CubeSats that there is just doing a quick search. This has been going on like since the 1960s before Boeing Sun simulators. Why do we need a Sun simulator? Sun simulators in Germany, and on it goes. And this is all part of this whole
Okay, so here we have just a kind of a Bobo picture of the Sun simulator. Okay, so here we have our Sun. This is the device manufactured by...
This is Donnie Daytona back when he used to be Donnie Daytona. This diagram that he has here in front of you is exactly what is seen on a Boeing commercial that Richie from Boston once showed as part of his repertoire when going over the Sun simulator. They literally show in a Boeing commercial where they're bringing you the future, an instructor showing children on a screen projector exactly what you're seeing here, except in a computer-generated image format, where it takes the sunlight and beams it down onto the earth where needed, like onto crops.
Bosch and Lomb and Lockheed Martin.
Made by Bosch and Lomb and Lockheed Martin.
What it does is takes our sun that has moved far away from the orbit where the sun's rays and heat
Now he proposes that our sun has moved far away from orbit, like it's gone into an elliptical orbit, and somehow our sun has left our orbit. something I have thought and spoken of in some of my previous videos is that maybe it is we that have left the orbit of the solar system of the sun that we've always known. And maybe what we know as the particle accelerator CERN, the Hadron Collider, which no one really knows what that's really for, what it does. Maybe that particle accelerator is an ion thruster, which is what they use for deep space travel. And we have actually moved spaceship Earth out of the reach of the sun because we knew that it was going to expand and engulf the Earth. And if we didn't get away from that sun, it was going to fry us. That's just one of my thoughts. He also talks in here in a moment about how the sun is a gun. See my previous videos titled The Sun is a Deadly Laser, parts 1, 2, 3, and 4 that I did about 10 videos back.
Longer give valuable, stuff towards the Earth as it's moved far away, outside an elliptical orbit, who knows? Or maybe another planet has passed in front of it and stole its thunder. Who knows the reason why they would put up a sun simulator?
That is the other reason. If we are in a binary star system and the dead star that is our sun's companion comes back around within proximity of the sun that we've always known, and they are electromagnetic, that would mean the dead star comes up right next to the star that we know as the sun, and it has 0% charge, and our sun has 100% charge. Once they connect their magnetic fields together, they both equal out. Energy always flows to where there's less of it. So our sun would be glowing at 50%, and the dead star would then be glowing at 50%. The dead star would drain our sun of its energy if the sun is electromagnetic, not a burning ball of hydrogen and helium 93 million miles away. So when he says maybe another celestial body has passed in front of our sun, that is also the theory that Final Days YouTube channel presents, is that we have many celestial bodies passing in front of our sun, and they eclipse our sun quite often. And that is why the sun simulator is closer, in order to blind us from being able to see what it is that's going in front of our sun. But I suggest maybe you relinquish all these ideas that they're just trying to blind us and keep us from seeing, and acknowledge that maybe they're just trying to do what they got to do without panicking the public. And then if it all goes well, we'll tell you what we did later, and you'll thank us for it. And if it doesn't go well, we're all dead anyway.
But everyone's noticing that what's in the sky right now isn't the same as the yellow sun you remember. It burns white, it burns hotter, and no one wants to go out in the sun anymore. How it's not torching all the plant life yet is beyond me. Maybe they're spraying something within the chemtrails that's...
It is. Mr. MB3 just did a video a few days ago showing 4 or 5 different mutants. Vegetables, strawberries, tomatoes, sweet potato vines. And he has done videos in the past where he just shows a single vegetable that is mutated. This time he put 4 or 5 different vegetables that are mutated in the same video. Like the radiation creates the genetic mutations. Like with our weakening magnetic field, it's allowing more radiation through.
Keeping the plants alive, some type of chlorophyll, or who knows. But anyway, this is the sun. This is the sun's rays projecting into this like cathode ray tube. Well, it has this receiver here, and this cathode ray tube that projects, enhances the sun's rays and projects them on, like, people think it's a spinning glass center. Some people say it's round, some people say it's square. I think that's when sometimes with certain cameras, when you point the camera at this, what we think is the sun, you're getting this outside lens array, but sometimes you get that black center, and sometimes it looks like it's spinning. I think that's what that is right there. It's basically the mirror that reflects the cathode rays tubes and then spins them in a high-speed rate, so it's sending pulsated rays across this lens array. Excuse me.
pulsated rays. That might be why we're seeing the flickering. When you zoom into the right spot, you hit the right frequency, and those pulsated rays are detectable by the camera. My analogy is that in a tankless water heater where it just shoots a shot of hot and then a shot of cold and a shot of hot and a shot of cold and a shot of hot, if it's a short distance between that water heater and the shower head, you can feel the hot sandwiched between the cold. But if that water flows through enough pipe, eventually when it comes out the head, the shower nozzle, you won't be able to feel it because it will all have blended in. So maybe when you zoom to a certain distance, you're compressing the amount of light that the camera is taking in, and it is able to detect those pulsated rays of light.
I didn't mean to do that. It's sending pulsated rays across this lens array, and then it projects down to the Earth and looks like a sun. Now, what I'm about to show you is a sunset video taken at about 500 feet with my drone. I think I get a reflection of this, the cathode ray. Okay? Here we go.
This lens flare is also visible in the video I took earlier today. The same shaped lens flare that he's about to show you.
Hold on one sec. Let me shrink that video back down for a second.
The cathode ray
At a
tube.
point, you're going to see the lens flares pointing down. You're going to see a red lens flare, blue lens flare. You might even see some patterns in the lens flares. Then you're going to see this green lens flare come up from the bottom that has a weird round top and a cone shape. I think that lens flare is a reflection of the cathode ray. Basically, it's a trigger, a gun, that absorbs the rays from the top and shoots them out a trigger, a funneled trigger. It's almost a way cathode ray tube televisions were made. I have a background in electronics, and the concept of a CRT, the old televisions we used to have that had that, glass front and the heavy picture tube, they work the same way the Sun simulator does. It blasts rays through a funneled tube to enhance the power. It's called a cathode ray tube or trigger. And that is exactly what the Sun simulator is, just at a larger scale. Okay? So I think by now you guys have probably seen the green funneled lens flare. Totally bizarre. Totally bizarre. So now after you've seen it on here on the video, now let's try to go back.
Okay, so now back to the beginning of the video. What inspired me to make this is that those images that you're seeing there, those lens flares are the same cathode ray tubes, and they're even different colors. You can see the blue one and the green one. I'll go to the screenshots that I've taken of this here in a second so we can zoom in and check it out a little closer. But you might be thinking, oh, well, that's because she's filming through the glass panel on her front door, and something about the glass panel on her front door is creating that effect. Not the case. She walks up to the door and goes out front, and you can still see the same effect when she goes outside. Right there. There, she just look. There is no glass panel between her and the sun. There's the same image. That's the cathode ray tubes. So I'll just try and cruise through these pretty quick. You can always rewind it and pause it. These are the ones that she took while she was outside. The ones that she took while she was inside are some of the best I've ever seen. This is showing the lens array, the sun gun, in ways that I've never seen it before. Uh-oh, like incoming message or something. There you go. What the hell is that? A lens flare always is a reflection of the light source. If you have a square light on the wall, your lens flare will be square. If you have a triangular light on the wall, your lens flare is going to be triangular. This lens flare is a reflection of the light source in the sky. That's clearly not a burning ball of gas 93 million miles away, but an artificial device, something more mechanical. And that concept blows people's self-image and worldview so much that the truthers, they don't even talk about this anymore. Even though it's been admitted, even though they've demonstrated their sunlight in effect, their sun simulator in effect. You notice where the green and the blue come together, like one nozzle, one nipple is going into the insert of where the green and blue come together. So that's the best lens flares, captures of the cathode ray tube that I've ever seen. That's what Donnie of Daytona was pointing out to you before they got to him and told him, look, just stop. You're getting too close to the truth. We don't want to have to put a bag over your head and take you off grid. So just go do some wacky, zany Grandmaster B Steve Urkel impression and stop with all the Sun Simulator videos. Clearly, the fact that they got to him and took him down proves that what he was getting too close to is a real highly sensitive issue that they didn't want getting out of the bag. And that's what you're seeing right here. The grow lamp in the sky. We're in an incubator. Look at all the different details to it, all the different layers. The blue and the green. By the way, blue and green make yellow, don't they? Even though it still looks mostly white in the sky. That's the closest thing to an image of the sun simulator I think we're going to get. That's pretty good. That's a lot of detail in that lens flare, showing you the shape of the light source and all the lens arrays that accompany the system, the sun simulator system. Pretty crazy. And that's why truthers don't even touch the subject anymore, because it affects your psyche so much. Your self-image and your worldview comes crumbling down when you truly contemplate this as a reality, not just a wacky, crazy, zany idea, but the reality of what's shining down upon you every day when you go outside. An artificially created device, a grow lamp in the sky, and this anti-gravitational technology that we've been seeing demonstrated lately from the UAP Dragons to many of these other drones that demonstrate anti-gravitational technology. That kind of technology could facilitate a sun simulator. The same technology that keeps those airborne aircraft carriers up in the sky could also keep a sun simulator up in the sky. Just try and cruise through these real quick. They're all pretty much the same once you've kind of seen a few of them. I don't think there's any more that are like much more detailed, but I mean, look at that. That's the lens flare of the light source that we're calling the sun. Clearly not just a round burning ball of gas in the sky, but a highly sophisticated technological device. Is it the false light of Lucifer? Or is it something that was done to give us life, that without we would be screwed? Either way, those are all secondary and tertiary questions around the periphery. First, you got to wrap your mind around the fact that it's real. Then, and only then, Should you even entertain the notions and the questions of why would they do that and how could they do that? First, you got to come to the acceptance that they did do that. Someone did that, and that's what's in the sky above your head. That's the first hurdle. That's crossing the uncanny valley. And the questions of why and how are what prevents you from accepting that that is the reality. Because unless you can explain to me all the things about why it works and why they did it and how it works, then I'm not going to believe it, because you can't explain to me any and all of my questions that I can come up with regarding the subject matter. Look, that one is pretty detailed. I'm glad we kept going through these screenshots, because that one has a little more detail, a few more layers. Shows you the intricacies of the cathode ray tube. Some crazy, wacky, zany stuff. But they've already admitted to it. They say, yeah, here, let me give you a demonstration of my Sun simulator. Over here at Sinlight, we're bringing you the future. Right there where the green and the blue come together. Maybe that's what makes yellow. Cray cray. Soak it in, man. You've got a few extra minutes to spend contemplating the nature of your reality as you're seeing this. You don't have another video you need to get to go watch that's equally as important. This makes the rest of everything meaningless and insignificant. This brings your whole self-image and worldview crumbling down, and you got to start over from the bottom up, reestablishing, building your self-image and your worldview from the bottom up once you recognize what it is you're being shown here. That there's a giant LED in the sky, a grow lamp, that serves as the sun and the light source. And I've never seen this clear of images of it in the lens flares. I've seen plenty of different lens flares that give a bell shape and the dot in the middle of the bell shape, but never anything like this. And it's because she captured it through the hole in the front door. It's right at the horizon level, like a pinhole camera, because there's low lighting inside, and she cut down the light around the edges. Something about the setup that she had, I'll leave the link in the description so you can watch the video. Something about the setup she had right here allowed us to capture these highly detailed images showing the light source through the reflection that we call a lens flare. And no one's ever seen any lens flares like this. So I don't mind taking a few minutes going through all of them, because they're all slightly different, because it's at a slightly different angle. And this is earth-shattering. That's why I say, you ain't gotta hurry up and go get to your next video. This is the end of the road. This is where you discard all your old ideas. You can't just add the new ideas to your currently existing worldview. The big revelation of truth isn't just going to be everything you think you know plus aliens. We got to get rid of everything you think you know and then start adding the pieces of truth of the final dispensation during this time of revelation. The puzzle pieces that you currently have that make your image, your worldview, need to be discarded, because the new puzzle pieces don't fit. The edges will not connect. You can't just add these new puzzle pieces to your currently existing worldview. You must discard all previous ideas and understandings of who you think you are, where you think you are. Your self-image and worldview must start over from zero. Be like unto a child born into a new world with no ideas in your mind about anything. See, children will be able to adapt. Children will think this is just something that happens during everyone's lifetime. Some sort of revelation that completely revises their perception of reality. Anything that happens during a child's lifetime, they can adapt to and accept as if it's normal. But we would like some people that aren't blank slates. And that's what's going to happen to most people. They're going to wipe all of their preconceived ideas. Like after a traumatic experience, like after these fires, I've heard families that are left homeless after the fire say, it's like the only memory we have is since the fire. I mean, we still have photos of what we did as a family before the fire, but it's like our memories only go back to the point of the fire, and that's all we remember, because they disassociated and compartmentalized all of their previous life experiences, because that no longer matters. When you have to deal with what's right here and right now, and the reality you're living now, it's a survival mechanism, a coping mechanism, that you discard all of your previous concepts and ideas and experiences, because they don't pertain to what's happening right here and now. And that's what's going to happen to most people. They're going to be wiped like a blank slate because they cannot mesh their old world that they used to live in and the new world that they live in now. So they will have to compartmentalize and disassociate, like schizophrenia, split personality disorder, or dissociative identity disorder. They will have to disassociate from all of their previous world experiences and ideas and concepts in order to adapt to the new world, because they cannot bridge the gap between the two worlds if they're not introduced incrementally and slowly. And the new reality is thrust upon them, and they didn't have the time to contemplate these things along the way. So when it's thrown in their face, they can go, oh yeah, okay, I can still retain my old memories of the world as I've always known it, and accept the new world as it is presenting itself to us. They will be completely separated like a blank slate in the presence of the new reality that is shown to them. And that is the benefit of people who are able to take this into consideration, integrate it into your self-image and worldview, incorporate it into your schemas of reality, your paradigm, in order that you can hold on to the life you've always known and not have to discard it, compartmentalize it, and disassociate it from it like it never happened, like it was never there. You will be able to transition from this world into the next, taking your memories and your life experiences with you, rather than becoming a blank slate that was wiped clean because you didn't have the time or the opportunity to incrementally acclimate yourself and adapt to the new world. Adaptation has two forms: assimilation and accommodation. Experiences that are familiar to you, they assimilate right into your worldview. Things that are unfamiliar, you must accommodate, create some new files within your mental filing cabinet in order to adapt. And if you're able to do that incrementally, you can transition between the two worlds and keep your old worldview intact as you enter into the new world of existence. People that don't have that opportunity are going to enter into the new world as a blank slate, without any memory of the world they once knew prior to the transition, because the trauma was so impactful. They had to just completely disassociate from the world that they knew prior to the traumatic event. That's what those people are referring to when they're like, yeah, it's like my whole family, all our memories consist of from the point of the fire where we became homeless to now. It's like that's all we remember now. We don't even remember life before the fire. And I want to help you be able to remember life before the transition. So take this opportunity to incorporate this into your self-image and worldview. Don't just rush off. There's a saying that says, occasionally men will stumble across the truth, but most of the time they pick themselves up and hurry off as if nothing ever happened. Don't do that. Take this moment, reflect. At the end of this video, push stop and turn it off and think for a minute, what does this mean? This changes your self-image and your worldview in such a way that it deserves a little bit of extra time to contemplate, to soak it in, to really think what this means. See that sphere, that circle in the middle between the blue cone and the upper green rings? There's like a circular sphere right in the middle there. This is a bit of a different angle. The green circular sphere has a little probe sticking into the blue cone. This is the closest to the sun simulator that we've ever seen. The most highly detailed images of the sun simulator that we've ever seen. Pretty trippy, man. Are you ready for the big ride, baby? Most people aren't. It's gonna blow your dome, man. It's gonna blow your dome. It's gonna blow everyone's domes. Paradigm shift, quantum leap from one reality into the next, not a linear transition, gradual and incremental steps. For most people, they're going to be thrust into the new world so hard. Oops. It's just going to mess them up and wipe their slate blank. There, the green nipple has a little protrusion, a little protuberance going into the blue bell shape. And this, I believe, is what's her name? Final Days refers to as the bell-shaped craft that flies in front of the eclipsing planet. Every time there's an eclipsing planet that they cover up with the trails and what does she call it? NASA's glare emitting technology or something like that. There's a bell-shaped craft that flies directly between the sun and the eclipsing celestial body. If you're familiar with Final Days YouTube channel and her work that she's done, she refers to this bell-shaped craft that always flies when there's an eclipsing planet that's flying in front of the sun in order to conceal it with this bell-shaped projector and NASA's glare technology. I believe this is probably that bell-shaped craft that she's seeing in her lens flares that she's identified so many different times. Oops. I know it seems repetitive, but it's worth taking a moment. Time is all you've got. Once this sinks in as a reality, your whole slate is wiped. You don't have a to-do list anymore. Every day you just go, baby, don't go. Don't you worry, we love you more than you know. One day the sun will leave us all behind. Unexplainable sightings in the sky. And I hate to be the one to ruin the night. Right before your eyes, I say you kill your heroes and fly, baby, don't cry. Don't you worry, 'cause everybody will die. And every day you just go. Look at the details in that. That is an apparatus and a device, not a burning ball of gas 93 million miles away. That's a ray gun. That looks like something Marvin the Martian would be packing. Pew pew! Okay, we're getting close to the end. I know we got to be getting close to the end here. There's that circular sphere again right above the blue cone. So that's clearly not some sort of lens flare that just happens to create a circular shape. That's part of the device. Wow, look at all the different layers. Oops. Look at all the different layers and lenses and ray tubes. See, aren't you glad we kept going, even though it seemed to be getting a little repetitive? You got nothing but time, baby. Once this sinks in as a reality, your whole schedule is wide open. And yeah, I know you gotta stay functional and keep your footing grounded in the material world and go to work and pay the bills and all that. But not for long. Not when everyone else finds out about this. And that's why it has been an imperative to keep it from the masses, most of whom cannot handle this truth. It is out of mercy that they are kept in the dark and unaware of this. Now I know we're about to the end. Wow. This is the first time I've actually checked out these screenshots up close. I took all these screenshots, but this is the first time I've actually zoomed in and looked at them, so we're kind of doing this part together. There's that sphere again, that circular part above the blue cone with the little nipple that sticks into the blue cone. We've seen that quite a few times. It's not just a random reflection. That's an exact replica of the shape of the light source. That's the sun. Simulator. Can you handle it, man? Have you already turned off the video? Said I'm going to go watch another episode of Butts and Ow My Balls Hurt and go back to baiting. Because this is too much. That's why most truthers don't cover this subject. It's too much. That's a pretty good image of the lens and the ball. One of Donnie Daytona's videos that he took before they got to him and told him shut the hell up was a video where the sun was going over and there were intermittent clouds working like a solar filter, and right behind the sun was 3 circles that passed right behind it. And he said those are probably Fresnel lenses to diffuse the light. And if that light wasn't diffused, it really would be a deadly laser. The sun is a deadly laser. So there's the spherical ball again right above the cone. And the rest of the cathode ray tube. I think Donnie would be impressed if he wasn't over there trying to be Grandmaster B and Steve Urkel. He told about how his uncle was a Mason. And his uncle told him, you know, Donnie, you should really join a lodge. If you want to have a better life, it's going to be a lot easier for you if you just join a lodge. And that one time they got pulled over by the police. And his uncle said some magic words, oh Lord our God, is there no help for the widow's son? I'm a fellow traveler, whatever magic words he said. And the officer said, all right, see you later. And he told the story as if the officer didn't even say, all right, you guys are free to go. His uncle told the officer, we're going to be on our way now, officer. You have a good day.
Totally bizarre. So now after you've seen it on here on the video, now let's try to go back.
Did you hear him say that it works like a gun and a trigger? The sun is a deadly laser is a little music video I included in a recent series that I titled The Sun is a Deadly Laser. Donnie, something happened to him. They got to him. Now he does this Grandmaster D impression. I think he almost maybe intentionally does it to make it as cringeworthy and unbearable to watch as possible. Like he had a deal made and he said, okay, I'll hold up to my end of the deal. I'll keep making videos, but I'm going to drain the oil out of this motor so it can no longer be used as a vehicle to move people in whatever direction you're trying to get me to move people. Because he used to love doing this. Yeah, he might like singing and dancing and rapping and acting like a clown, but he used to love doing this. So the fact that he changed means something seriously changed with him. Anyway, from his drone, which is where he's filming now, He was flying over the water and clouds and showing you a big circular light pattern down on the water and on the clouds. When he would film and get up above the clouds, he would show you a circular light pattern that's being projected onto the clouds. And he had another version of it where he showed you this circular light pattern projected onto the water, where you could see the full circle and then extra light outside that circle. So, in The Sun is a Deadly Laser, I included a clip from The Simpsons where they show that they created a convex lens and turned the sun into a deadly laser that destroyed all of Springfield. Scroll back about 10 videos and see The Sun is a Deadly Laser videos. In this one, you can also see this black dot in the center of what we think of as the sun. It was Donnie Daytona who first introduced me to the idea that maybe there really is a fake sun in the sky, because that's a lot for anyone to wrap their mind around. Something happened to him. He dropped out of the truther game. He's now doing some Grandmaster B impression. The other person you heard on this video was Richie from Boston. He too has dropped out and gone away. So, just like Logic Before Authority, who erased all of his videos and bailed out. Here's an album cover from a band called Bauhaus, I believe is how you pronounce it, titled The Sky's Gone Out. And that looks a lot like what we're seeing now up there as our sun. By the same music group, they have this album cover called Burning from the Inside, where they show a tree, as in the plasma trees that are burning from the inside, and a sky split up into segments, as in the sheet lightning that I referenced earlier. The sky. There's a little black spot on the sun today. It's the same old thing as yesterday. And of course, black hole sun. Sky's gone out and burning from the inside. I think these guys are tapped in to some occulted knowledge and understanding.
Use the sun as a portal to travel to other areas of space and time. They literally wait for the sun to rotate around to the point where the planet or whatever it is, and it's in the right alignment of frequencies, and they shoot into the sun using these derivative drive or propulsion or whatever crafts. And depending on the angle and the speed and the time, they go into a different point in time and space. All of them go there. Inside the crafts, it's like a little town, it's a little village. The craft itself could be 30, 40 feet, across. You can bend space. So it could be a freaking high-rise building in there. It's really, really weird, but that's the technology that's released around now.
Someone sent me this video because when they heard him say that they used the sun as a portal, he immediately thought of me. Now, I don't believe that's true. I know it because I filmed it with my camera, posted a video, and the next day YouTube wiped all of my 555 subscribers, all of my 100+ videos. I had been making videos for about 8 months. When he's telling you that they've been using this technology to control humanity since the beginning of time, that may or may not be true. But what I do know is that this technology exists to the point where we are about to experience a quantum leap. When you hear the word quantum, you think that, pi worked into some sort of equation must be involved here. That's not the case, nor is time travel. A quantum leap in our self-image and worldview, a paradigm shift. When we see some of the stuff that already exists all around us, but it's not just individuals like myself that know about it, but the general population is made aware of it. Right now, our self-image and worldview thinks of these types of technologies as things that would only exist in the future, if ever, anywhere. When we find out they exist here and now today, it will be like we were shot into the future. Our worldview will change so drastically because we will see that these things do exist and it is real. I filmed the sun tunnel. I no longer have a choice as to whether or not to believe that it's true. I know because I've seen. Not because I heard some guy on YouTube say it or I read some white paper document. I filmed it myself.
And the fact that it got my channel wiped shows whoever's operating that sun tunnel is also operating YouTube. Either the aliens operate YouTube, or the YouTube system administrators are in cahoots with the sun tunnel operators, and maybe there's some overlap. But what I'm telling you is that we are about to go through a quantum leap, and not everyone's coming. They don't have the mental plasticity. These hard-headed, soft-minded people who think they know something are going to stand their ground. And they're staying behind. The only way to the Father is through the Son might have more of a literal and direct meaning than you think. Literally, through what appears to us to be the sun is what I filmed. Craft, transiting. Now, maybe it's not actually that they're going through the sun. Maybe they're opening the magnetic field and they do it in alignment with the sun in order that it's not as easily seen. And that phrase, only way to the Father is through the Son, may have another layer of meaning. Because these hard-headed, soft-minded Christians who want to take a hardline stance on things they don't understand are going to say, oh, those are little g gods. I only cooperate with the Most High God. That's like an entry-level employee at Walmart saying, I demand to speak to Sam Walton. He has many layers and many representatives of bureaucracy between you and the big guy, the Most High, they like to say so often. So, this paradigm shift is right around the corner. Most people haven't been paying attention. Blame it on my ADD, baby. And they're going to be screaming, maybe I should cry for help. Maybe I should kill myself. Just blame it on my ADD, baby. Because they haven't been acclimated to the reality that some of us are seeing, and we're only seeing the tip of a major iceberg that's about to emerge and be in full view all over. And when it does, that's the paradigm shift. We are in the collective initiation Greg Braden spoke of in his videos Awakening to Zero Point, which refers to zero magnetics, and we're quickly approaching that. Awakening to Zero Point and beyond Zero Point, the collective initiation. Part of an initiation is to break you down and build you up, believer. Break me down, build me back up, and do whatever it takes. In that video, whatever it takes, they show the water deluge followed by the fire deluge. There has been a lot of information enclosed in these music and videos that most people pass up as if it's just nursery rhymes and meaningless and airy-fairy nonsense. That's been part of my initiation. In order to break you down and then build you back up, they break down your self-image, just like the drill sergeant in boot camp, the sorority and fraternity that haze the new pledges, the gang that jumps in the new initiates. We are in the collective initiation, and in order to get you to let go of all your preconceived ideas, because no one comes with thinking they know something, you have to have a mental plasticity, a flexibility. And because these things do not fit into your worldview, you're going to have to accommodate in order to adapt. There is only two forms of adaptation. Assimilation and accommodation. Because these things are so far outside your worldview, they do not assimilate into your filing cabinet, into your information processor, into your brain, into your worldview. They do not just assimilate. So you have to accommodate and change the shape of your worldview and correspondingly the shape of your self-image. Your self-image has to fit perfectly inside of your worldview, and your worldview fits perfectly around the shape of your self-image. And anytime there's a change to one, there has to be a change to the other in order to keep them fitting one within the other and one around the other. Since people refuse to change their self-image, they're going to be forced to, and be forced through an identity crisis, where you reassess everything you think you know about who you are and what you like and what you want to do with your life, and a typical identity crisis. They're going to be forced into one by having their worldview forcibly changed, because they have had this ADD problem and failed to pay attention to things that seem to matter more to me than whatever it is they've been paying attention to, eventually they will come to the point where they are forced to reckon with the truth. And we will once again live in a world where truth is a valuable commodity. We live in a world where truth doesn't matter. But my point is, this paradigm shift is right around the corner. These technologies exist. I know so because I filmed it. And I know that what I filmed was top secret shit because they wiped my YouTube channel the next day. There will come a time when those videos are restored to my channel. And just like these musicians have laid these breadcrumbs for us and our initiation to convey information, so it is I have laid breadcrumbs that at the right time, they will be released and made available to the public. But at the time, it was inappropriate. They are trying to gently ease people into this understanding. And at the time when I took that video, it was way too early in the learning curve, and they still had a lot of gentle nudges they wanted to give the general population in order to not fracture their consciousness. In order to not send them into shock, you turn the heat up a little bit at a time, little bit at a time. But there's going to come a time real soon where it's too late. They've shown that if they're not going to pay attention to the moon spinning 90 degrees every night as it goes overhead, if they're not going to pay attention to the trees burning on the inside all around them, everyone has been given equal opportunity to participate in this transition. That is why it's so fair. It is a process of self-selection, and they are all going to know, when it's said and done, that God is just and fair and tried real hard to get them to come along the easy way. But most of them aren't going to come along, so they're going to have to come along the hard way. And that was the difference between Jesus' plan and Satan's plan. Jesus said, I will bring them willingly, voluntarily. They will serve you with joy. But not all of them are going to come. Satan said, I'll bring them all, but not with their free will intact. I will forcibly make them come along. And the voluntary part is just about over. Those that didn't sign up for God's army voluntarily are going to get drafted. Get it? I don't know the sun tunnel's real because I thought about it real hard and contemplated and listened to some guy on YouTube and read a book. I know what I know from my own personal life experience. And that goes for all of my knowledge about God as well. I didn't get it from reading books. And that's why I know all of these people that think they fucking know something because they regurgitate and recite and repeat some shit that their friends and their neighbors regurgitate and recite and repeat and pat each other on the head and tell each other, amen, brother. I know those guys are out of luck. They cling to their preconceived ideas as if it's going to serve them well while they can't even see their hand in front of their face. So I still have the still frames left from that video that I took of the sun tunnel. It was a 19-second video, and for a full 6 seconds you could see the magnetic flux line, rings around the sun in jagged patterns with the same lights, the neon colors as the aurora borealis, which is what happens when you penetrate the magnetic field, is the solar plasma comes pouring through, like in the North and South Pole where there is no magnetic field, and that's why you see the aurora borealis northern lights. Those northern lights were created around the sun in concentric rings, all moving inward. That is also known as a stargate. I just call it the sun tunnel. I still have those still frames, and I've made quite a few videos on them. But eventually, everyone's going to know this with their own eyes. They're going to see that open up, and people are going to come pouring through. And on that day, it's all over. So, I mean, it's not all over. It's actually all, the beginning is near. The beginning is near. It's the beginning of our new world. We are the living bridge between this world and the new world. The old story about history and the world we live on isn't holding together. Like I've said before, the potter's wheel of paradigms is spinning in my mind. And like on a potter's wheel, when a vase that you're creating out of clay gets thin spots and holes in it, eventually it collapses back down into a ball of clay. And from that point, you can start to rebuild it back up again into the shape of another vessel. The old story, his story, is disintegrating quickly. All the pieces are becoming disconnected. That's what it means to disintegrate. The pieces are no longer connected. People don't believe NASA. People don't believe history. People don't believe the religious institutions, who all don't tell you anything about plasma fire and told you to go take a vax. Yet you still gonna believe those guys that gave you that book and told you to lie to your kids about Santa Claus? Get the fuck out of here. If that's the level of consciousness you're at, be gone with you. I'm not going where you're going. On this consciousness farm, it is going to be clear to see. I'm sorry, I don't want to get too off on a tangent, but like David Icke says, a famous quote by him, you could probably punch it up and Google it and it'll bring it up. Love is the only truth, all else is an illusion. On this consciousness farm, love elevates your consciousness. Fear restricts and constricts your higher order thinking. Everyone knows that. It's not a big phenomenon. Everyone knows fear makes you go into fight, flight, or freeze mode, and you can't think properly. So you don't make good decisions in fear. That is what restricts and retards your thought process, your higher order thinking, or your consciousness. Therefore, the opposite of fear, which is love, elevates and accelerates your consciousness, enables you to have higher order thinking skills to a greater degree. Thus, on a consciousness farm, love and truth are synonymous. And the highest consciousness is in the frequency of love. Therefore, this is a love farm where they are cultivating love. And all of the labels and ideas that people have about who the good guy is and who the bad guy, oh, bad guy's got horns, horn man bad, the reptilians, they're bad. You got that all from the slave master who tells you nothing about plasma fire and told you to go get a vax and made you lie to your kid, engage in the abuse cycle so you would live in a world full of lies and introduce your children to a world based on lies through that yearly ritual, which would harden their heart and block off any relationship they might develop in the future with a guy in the sky who knows when I'm sleeping and knows when I'm awake and just wants me to be good for goodness sake. Hell no, I fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I ain't getting fooled again. But we all walk around pretending to still believe in the adult version of Santa Claus, while we all know no one really does. That's what that ritual does. It prevents people from actually developing a relationship with God through the Holy Spirit by hardening their heart from a child, getting you to invest all of your hopes and dreams in this Christ figure that we celebrate on the same day. And then once you figure it out that you were lied to by everyone around you, your parents, your teachers, your friends, NORAD with their Santa tracker, the government, the police, all of them lied to you, then you just, oh, okay. And you continue on in a world full of lying liars who love to lie so much they would be given a strong delusion. We just watched that go down. It's still going down. And at that end time where the strong delusion is cast upon the people, there would be someone who can draw fire from the heaven in the sight of all for everyone to see. That's been going on for a while now too. So this paradigm shift is coming, and clinging to your preconceived ideas is not going to serve you well. Be like unto a child, curious about everything and certain about nothing. And once it comes to everyone's attention, once they are forced to reckon with the truth, that is when all of the stones that I've laid will come into full view for everyone to see. That God's been working with me and I've been busting my ass to try and help you see what's coming so it won't shatter your consciousness, so you can have some mental plasticity. But those people who have mental crystallization are going to have their mentality shattered because they think they know something. And everything that they think they know was given to them by the plantation slave master who tells them nothing about plasma fire and told them to go get a vax. Yet they're going to cling to all those preconceived ideas as if that's going to get them somewhere good. The God I serve is based on principles, and that underlying principle is love, and that's what graduates you up through this consciousness farm, elevates your level of consciousness, is to get you out of the mode of fear. The only way to do that is to burn it out of you, get you to walk through that fire, get you to face those fears, and you no longer have fear, and then you can be in love. Well, the people who have educated and indoctrinated all these hard-minded, hard-headed, soft-minded Christians who take a hardline stance on things they don't understand, 99% of everything they know is fear-based and guilt and shame-based. Nights of shame. Dance, baby, dance like the world is ending. Dance, baby, dance like the world is ending. Dance, baby, dance because the world is ending. Oh, yeah. And they told you Lucifer was the musician in heaven. Why has every single person heard that, whether they are religious or secular? To make sure that if you ever tap into the muse messages, as I call them, you fear them and go the other way. Everything you've been told to fear and hate that describes and defines and resembles the devil has been put there to get you to reject God. You're on a slave plantation where they try to keep you from graduating up through the levels of consciousness by beating you over the head with fear, fear, fear. Love is the only truth. All else is an illusion.